We all know that we are here for the launch of the Secureum Bootcamp, Smart Contract Auditing, Epoch Zero launch, funded by the Ethereum Foundation grant and sponsor partners Consensus Diligence, Sigma Prime, and TrailerBits. Thank you all for making this happen, and really a big thanks to the Ethereum Foundation for the grant and for the sponsor partners, without which this may have taken a very different form. But I think the biggest thanks goes to really all the participants, without whom this wouldn't have happened. So thanks for joining, guys, and everyone. So let's get started. So Secureum is really very simple, right? It is security and Ethereum, the two words put together. And the idea was really to further improve the state of security on Ethereum. And in this case, it's really application security that we are looking at. So smart contract security, specifically for Ethereum. And it's always been a primary concern. And there are many approaches to solving it, many efforts and initiatives. And Secureum wanted to also play a role and do something to raise the bar to help this effort, right? So that is really the mission of Secureum. And to step back, there are, for people coming in from security, there are many tools, many different techniques that are used in security, as we know. But specifically in the case of smart contracts, there are many tools, and a lot of the firms, a lot of the sponsoring partners, and others have written fantastic tools, are writing. This is being researched and being worked on. But still, I think it is fair to say that a significant effort of smart contract security auditing is still manual, right? And that's just because of where we are in this timeline. We are still very early. A lot of things are changing. Ethereum protocol itself is changing, as we know. The languages are improving. Solidity, which is by far the most widely used language, there are many releases every year, one almost every month or two, right? So there are all these tools and techniques that are trying to keep up, and the one thing constant is really the manual effort, right? So the people who are involved in this space are trying to use some of these tools and techniques and complement their blind spots or shortcomings by using manual analysis. So this is this plays a very significant role in smart contract security, smart contract auditing, right, today. And that is sort of the primary focus, and that sort of is a problem because, as we know, manual efforts don't scale very well, right? So they have a very high degree of accuracy. They have very low false positive rate. These are all typically speaking compared to the tools, definitely in the Web3 space and the Ethereum space. But we don't scale as well as the tools, right? We are not very deterministic, right? And we can't really sort of be looking at smart contract auditing or security 24/7, 365, CI/CD, all these things that are so elegantly and efficiently done with tools are not as easy to do with manual analysis, right? So that is a challenge, and the reason why it's a challenge is because of the security pyramid, right? So if you look at this, it's fair to say that we have billions of dollars of value, right, on Ethereum, both the Ethereum protocol itself and all the other protocols that are built on top of it. All this value that is captured in these protocols, and there are hundreds of thousands of them at this point, all that responsibility for the security of those protocols is being shouldered by only hundreds of experts. So this difference in magnitude is so stark, right, compared to Web 2, for all of you who have been in the Web2 space, who are still in the Web2 space, in the security space, this will be like amazing, a difference that you will see is that there are very few people, right, and understandably so, who are quote unquote experts at Ethereum security. And the reasons are, again, understandable, because in order to do security of smart contracts, you need to know, we need to know security, right? And how that works. And that itself, there is like 40, 50 years worth of research in information security, a lot of which still applies to Web3, to Ethereum. Besides that, we need to understand how a blockchain works. We need to understand specifically how Ethereum works. We need to understand, we need to master Solidity language, not from a developer perspective, but from a security perspective, right? We need to understand the bits and the bytes of the bytecode of the higher level language and many, many aspects that play a huge role in this. So that is the challenge. And that is really the mission that the community is trying to address, right? Which is to train experts, train people to become security experts in this space. And this has to go up from hundreds to really thousands, because it's not just smart contract security firms or teams that want to hire or work with such experts, people who understand this, but every protocol, the thousands of protocols, every one of them will very soon need a security person on their team, so that they don't have to rely on a third-party firm to do security for them, because that again is not, it's not practical, it's not scalable. Right? So that is the magnitude of the challenge that we are looking at. So it's a huge challenge, but just like with any huge challenge, it's also a huge opportunity for all of us here. So that is what we are addressing with this mission. So that is really the focus, the primary focus of Secureum Bootcamp. It's smart contract security auditing for the Ethereum ecosystem. And again, funded by the Ethereum Foundation grant, sponsor partners without whom and without all of you, this would not have been possible. So thank you. So that is really the motivation and the background for both Secureum as well as the need for a bootcamp such as the one that is going to start. All right. So let's step back and sort of recall why we are doing this again, right? We are here to learn specifically about smart contract security auditing. For folks, for people who are interested in smart contract development, this might be interesting because they can increase their security chops, their security understanding. But the focus of this bootcamp is really, really going to be on security auditing, right? And we'll talk more about the difference in the mindset and difference in so many things that apply specifically to smart contract auditing that necessarily do not apply to smart contract development. Right? So that I think is something that I would like to stress upon for the duration of the bootcamp. And this is also about helping people make the leap from Web 2 to Web 3. And this is obvious. We talked about this. I won't again rehash it. And this is also about helping people who are developers in the Web 3 space change their development or add to their development mindset, add security mindset to that frame of mind, right? And this again is a big mindset that that you will see as we go through the bootcamp, because instead of looking at more efficient ways of writing or developing code, we'll be looking at things that might actually go against it. Right? That hey, maybe this is more efficient, but this is not a best practice from a security perspective. So things like that. So that mindset change is something critical, and hopefully we will talk more about that switch as well. And the last 2 points are things we talked about. So the higher order goal here is to really scale Ethereum security and to grow this vibrant community. So for folks, for people who are getting into the space now, it's really an amazing place to be in. Very helpful all around. So we all want to help each other, and we all want to sort of grow together, right? So yeah, welcome everyone to this community. And let's get into some of the specifics. This is, again, nothing here should be very new. So this is a 3-month bootcamp starting today, October, and going on till end of December. And even after that, the details of which will be shared later on. And this is, who doesn't love free? So this is a free bootcamp. Again, thanks to the Ethereum Foundation and the sponsors for making that possible. So that was one of the biggest reasons why we were able to accommodate as many people as we are able to do at this point in time. So the focus again is Ethereum smart contract security auditing, right? And this is goes back again to the Ethereum culture of being very open. The bootcamp is being open, will be open to students, to professionals, to beginners, to experts. And frankly speaking, I don't think there are any experts sort of set in stone here, because this space is moving so fast that you take a weekend off and you're already 2 days or 2 months behind all the things that have happened, right? So everyone is learning here. So I don't think there's there are people who have spent more time, so maybe have a bit more context. So feel free to not think of let's not think of anyone as a beginner or an expert in this case. And we should also be conscious of people joining part-time and full-time. There's a boot camp. There is an expectation of spending quite a bit of time and effort, but we want it to be open to people who can only afford a few hours a day. So it has been that, and I believe there are many of us who are doing this on nights and weekends, right? So everyone is welcome. And this is again Web 2 and Web 3, so we'll see people who have no clue about Ethereum, which is fine. We'll see people who are experts in, who spent a lot of time in Web 3 and Ethereum. So for such people, please, help out the others is a sincere request. Also, there will be some of us who understand security more, and there will be people who understand programming in general, who have programmed or who are programming in tens of languages, what have you, right? So really an open culture, open to everyone. So let's please be accommodating, on the Discord channel to everyone who comes in and might seem to ask a question that is obvious to some of us, but really, it could be a very genuine question that they're not familiar with. So that is a sincere request. And how are we going to do this? There are 2 phases. So I think in the interest of time, I promised to finish this very soon, but let's run past this. Learn phase, October, November, readings, videos, quizzes, and more. 10 to 20 hours a week is sort of minimum requirement in my mind, just in terms of if you want to do well, if you want to understand well, learn well, I think that is the number of hours that one might have to put in. But if you can spend only a fewer hours than what is required, then the structure of the bootcamp is such that you will be able to make up later on, right? So I'll talk more about it when we get to the quizzes. Then December is going to be audit readiness. This is where rubber meets the road, if you will. So all the learnings for the first 2 months in October and November, whoever gets selected based on the quizzes will get into the audit readiness phase, and they will get to evaluate the projects. And for those who could not make it, there will be other opportunities after that, right? So the details of which I'll be sharing later on. More details. So this I think is interesting. There are 8 weeks in the learn phase, and every week there will be one article that will be shared on Substack, right? And if you don't know what this, what some of these mean, I will be sharing more details on Discord. So nothing to worry about that. And that article will be accompanied by 5 videos that will be shared on YouTube, right? So both Substack as well as the article on Substack and the YouTube videos are going to be publicly available to everyone who is who is part of the bootcamp or not. Doesn't matter. This will be publicly available. That is again one of the goals, is to make learning accessible to everyone. So that is a good thing. And what will not be available to everyone will be available only to those who have registered for this bootcamp are the quizzes. So every week there's going to be one quiz which will be shared on the class marker platform, and this is something that you should be familiar with. There was a readiness quiz shared a week earlier. So this, we can talk more about that later, but these are sort of the platforms that we'll be using for this bootcamp, right? And all these links will be sent out in an email every week. Approximately, well, this will be Sunday to me, sending out, but depending on where you are, it might be Saturday night or it might be early Monday. But you can expect to get one email every week that gives links to all these 3 things, to that article, to the 5 videos, and to the quiz. So I would recommend, not skipping the article and just watching the videos. I would recommend, doing both in parallel if you can. And the 5 videos are sort of split out very neatly, and I'll share more details on the Discord in the interest of time. So for people who are, who learn visually or by listening, looking at videos, feel free to watch the videos, but also simultaneously look at the article. For people like me, for example, I prefer reading articles, so I would recommend reading that article. And reading is really, really good, because as a smart contract security auditor, you are going to be reading a lot of code, right? So that is an extra benefit of or a side effect of this. So any questions on this, on any of these details, please feel free to ask on the questions channel on Discord, and I'll jump ahead. So quiz, I think all of us, or many of us, are sort of excited about the quiz. Some of us are worried about the quiz, but let's talk about it. Every quiz is going to have either 32 questions, 16 questions, or 8 questions, right? And there are going to be 8 quizzes, one every week. Some of the initial ones will have 32 because it just makes sense. And later on, where every question needs more time, what we have done is reduce the number of questions. But all quizzes have a fixed time of 16 minutes. So if you see this pattern, this is all powers of 2. This is sort of a fun way to break away from the decimal system and deal with binary, which is really the bits and bytes that we want to be dealing with. So 16 minutes for every quiz, 32 questions, or 16 or 8, and you will know this in the email. There'll be a lot of there won't be any surprises, hopefully. And for every quiz, for taking the quiz on the class marker platform, we will need an access code which has been shared with all of you in an email, right? So please keep that access code handy, because you will need to enter that. That's the only way you will be able to enter into the quiz platform, and only way that I will know whose quiz this is. Then you will be asked for your Discord handle. So if there is somebody on this call who still has not joined the Discord server for Secureum, please join that. You will, it will make our lives easier if there are any sort of troubleshooting to be done. And you will also be requested to enter the email ID that you registered or signed up for this bootcamp. Right? All these three things will be required for every quiz, so please keep them handy. Quizzes are single attempt, so you get only one chance to do the quiz. Right? There is no pause and resume. Right? After a few questions or whatever, we won't be allowed to pause the quiz, go back, take a break, and resume it later. That is not allowed. So these two things, please keep in mind. So please start the quiz only once you have, once you've gone through the content, the article and the videos, once you're fairly certain that, that you're ready for the quiz, and make sure that your internet connection, whatever else, your laptops, everything else is in top shape, because this is, there won't, it's not practical, to make exceptions, because it's, well, you probably understand that, right? We are going to have hundreds, 500s, or 1,000 people doing this, and there is really no way to scale for myself, to scale myself, to clone myself to do any of that, right? So please remember this: single attempt, no pause, resume. Take the quiz. It's not, I mean, the quiz is going to be very straightforward, so no stress, but just make sure these two things are remembered. And every quiz will have 2 weeks time to finish, right? So if you get the email on Sunday, we have 2 weeks to read the content, to sort of master it, and then take the quiz. But ideally, try to finish it in that 1 week, because the following Sunday, you're going to get another email with the next week's content and a second quiz, right? Or the third quiz. So just make sure you pace yourself. But the 2 weeks time was really to give a bit of grace period for somebody who is working, for somebody who's traveling, all the other interruptions that we have in life, right? So that is really the idea of quizzes. And again, no exceptions, please. All right, some more details on the quiz. Every question, and we have tried to keep this very straightforward. Every question is a multiple choice. It will have, it's a multiple choice. There are no answers to be written or typed out, because it's not practical for me to really look at so many answers and evaluate it. So they're all multiple choice. However, we also want to make it, we want to keep the bar high, so that people really master the content before they can, before they can ace the quizzes, if you will. Right? So these multiple choice questions have 4 check boxes. They are not radio buttons. So it's not like every question has only one answer that potentially allows somebody to guess and get it right. There are 4 check boxes, which means that every question can have 1 or more correct answers. So there can be 1 correct answer, 2, 3, or all 4 could be correct. And you get 1 point for answering a question only if you answer all the correct answers and only the correct answers. So example, you have choices A, B, C, and D, and let's say that the correct answers are B and D, right? So you will get 1 point only if you choose B and D as the correct answers in the check boxes. If you choose A, B, and sorry, what did I say? B and C, right? So B and C are the correct answers. So if you choose A, B, and C, you will get 0 points, because you have chosen A, which is not one of the correct answers. If you choose only B, you'll still get 0 points. There are no partial points, because both B and C are correct, right? So 1 question, 1 point, only if you get all and only the correct answers. And there are no partial points, there are no negative points. You get a question wrong, you get 0. There are no negative points. So the questions are by design, right, tricky. What we have tried to do is to make them as unambiguous as possible. However, we want to keep them tricky to make sure that we understand the nuances of Ethereum, of Solidity, security, anything that is being tested upon. Yeah. So please read all the questions very carefully. There are some questions that might ask you things like which of the following are true. There might be some questions that ask you which of the following are false. So make sure you see the true and false and answer appropriately. So this is something we will try to reduce confusion as much as possible. But on the flip side, as auditors, we need to pay attention to every letter, to every word, right? And there will be, the time-bounded aspect of, yes, this is 16 minutes, so there will be the time pressure, but so is auditing. And Jocelyn, who's here, will talk more about that at the end of this call. But this is, these quizzes are also reflective of sort of the life of an auditor, right? It is going to be time bound, it is going to be tricky, it is going to be ambiguous, it is not going to be crystal clear, because if that were to be the case, then security would be very easy. But that is not the case. Yeah. So please read carefully. And again, in the interest of people taking the quizzes at different points, different time zones at different times, these quizzes, as soon as you finish a quiz, you will not know the correct answers. What will happen is you will receive an email from Classmarker to the registered email ID. You will receive an email that tells you how many points you have scored, right? Out of 32 questions, 16 or 8, how many points. So that is all you will know. And at the end of 2 weeks from when it was shared, once the quiz closes, at that point, I will be sharing the correct answers. And at that point, we would really encourage everyone to discuss the answers, to break it down, to see why it makes sense, or maybe there are questions and answers that are not very clear. So this is something hopefully we can get right in the second iteration, right? So we are going through a lot of effort. And again, I would like to call out Jocelyn and some of the other folks who have helped with shaping up these quizzes to keep them unambiguous as much as possible, but really to raise the bar so that they really test all of us and make sure that we have mastered the content as much as we can. So I think this is probably the slide that I've spent the most time on, but that is because this is going to be critical in determining who will make it to the audit readiness phase, which I know that a lot of you are very excited about. So I think with that, we have, at least I have covered a lot of what I wanted to talk about. So again, welcome to the Secureum Bootcamp on Smart Contract Security Auditing. This is really about Ethereum, about educating ourselves, about evaluating the security of the various things that we see in this space. So let us learn. Let's try to master the content. Let's learn from each other. Let's ask a lot of questions. At the same time, let's also be considerate of other people's time and effort and the channels of communication. So please look at the channels, see if your questions have already been asked. Discord, probably not the best channel, but really all we have. So look up. Maybe at some point we'll have an FAQ, but see if your questions have been asked. Jump into those discussions, create threads, and let's all learn together. And more importantly, because we are coming in from so many different backgrounds, so many different contexts with different expertise, different experience, which is what makes this community, which will make this community really exciting, is our intention and our efforts in helping others learn. So I would really, really request and encourage everybody to help others learn. There might be things that are very obvious, straightforward to me that might, be really hard for someone else. So please be open-minded. Please be generous with your time, your words, And yeah, at the end of the day, let's not get too stressed out. There will be many opportunities. This is just the beginning. There is huge uh, huge challenge, a lot of opportunities, and let's have fun in learning, right? So that is I think really critical. And I've been told that we can't have fun, especially at a launch event like this, without having a POAP. So yes, we do have a POAP, and for people who know what a POAP is, you know, there will be a POAP that should hit your email inboxes maybe in 12 to 18 hours. And for people who aren't aware, it is think of it as a badge. It's a proof of attendance protocol. It shows, I mean, it shows on the blockchain like an NFT that in this case you did attend this this launch event. And in this case, again, we are being open. We're not restricting or sharing the code right now. It will be in your email, and it'll also be in email inboxes of people who could not join this meeting. And I heard a few more pings. People are trying to get in to this meeting after I stopped having a chance to admit them in. So everyone who is registered, take a look at your email inboxes, give it a day, and you will have a POAP code. All right. So I think that officially qualifies us as having fun with the POAP. So yeah. So please stay tuned. There is the Twitter handles here. There is, Twitter, again, we will use, I will use it sparingly, only for official public announcements, but really the main watering hole, if you will, where all of us are already there, all of us need to be there, and there are a lot of people who are even outside of the bootcamp have joined the Discord server. So please join the Discord server, which is where all of us are going to be learning for the next 3 months and beyond. So with that, yes, let's go.